There's this doctor sitting there as straight as a poker. What on earth he's doing? Well, he's actually waiting for a patient, a gorgeous lady, to pass gas. The poor girl's just dying of embarrassment. She tells the doc, "Here it comes. I'm gonna fart." But the doc leans in and takes a whiff. No smell. "You didn't fart." "I'll wait a bit longer." Turns out the girl has just undergone surgery. To ensure there's no post-operative intestinal blockage, they need to know if she can fart. This doctor is Shawn Murphy, and he's autistic. Today's his first day on the job. There's also a 55-year-old patient named Mitchell who just had a prostatectomy. Mitchell asks, "Can I still drive after this operation?" Just then, Shawn Murphy barges in and answers, "Yes, of course you can. There's nothing wrong with your legs. But, there's a big chance you might not be able to, shoot the works down there in the future." His words make everyone in the room want to crawl under a rock. Shawn takes one look and immediately spots that the patient has a tumor. He's a real genius. There's a patient named Fanny with a tumor. She's had a stomachache for days. In the ward, everyone's eyeballing Fanny's CT scan. Shawn spots the issue in a flash. In his mind, he's got this 3D picture of the patient's innards. Then he just blurts out, "Your tumor is bigger than a mango, and it's malignant." The patient quickly asks, "Is it gonna kill me?" Shawn replies, "Yes." Dr. Claire jumps in to smooth things over, saying it's just a wild guess for now. But Fanny's already shaking in her boots. After they leave the ward, the team's all like, "Shawn, don't be so blunt. You'll scare the patients to death and mess up the treatment." But Shawn simply can't tell a lie. All of a sudden, he remembers when he was a tyke and ran away from home with his brother. They only got money for grub because his brother was a little con artist with lies. At this point, Dr. Neil Melendez, the team leader, decides to stick Shawn Murphy with all the lousy jobs nobody wants. There's a patient with an ear infection. For the patient's sake, Shawn sets up an MRI. This ticks off the hospital's surgical head honcho. And what happens next? It's like a bomb going off in Shawn Murphy's life. Everyone must pay attention. A stomachache could be a sign of cancer. Well, a 10-year-old girl shows up at the hospital complaining of a stomachache. Her parents think she's faking it just to skip school, just like the dad who's always faking sick and sneaking off to play golf. Shawn tells the girl to get lactate and amylase tests. Dr. Melendez is all like, "Shawn, why are you ordering a bazillion tests for just a tummy ache?" This time, Shawn Murphy's got a little smarts. He doesn't spill the beans about the diagnosis in front of the patient. Once they're out of the room, Shawn Murphy says he's got a hunch the girl's got a nasty problem intestinal volvulus, which can be a real killer. But Dr. Melendez blows his top when he hears this. He shouts, "What? Everyone can't be at death's door. The kid just wants to skip school. Get her out of here. You already went overboard with that MRI for the ear infection guy. It's like you're making a mountain out of an anthill. All right, for the rest of today, you're on a leash. Do whatever the nurse says." Doctors should never do this to patients. There's this one patient who shows up at the hospital with a bag of vomit. Shawn thinks the vomit should be tested. But the nurse, with all her so-called wisdom from past cases, goes, "No, it's nothing. Send him home." Shawn's just left with no choice but to follow the nurse's orders. He tosses the bag and says, "Alrighty then, you're free to go," and off he goes. The poor patient, seeing Shawn's little performance, gets the wrong idea big time. "Oh no, I must have some deadly disease and they're just sending me home to die." So he runs to the hospital director. The director tells him he's as fit as a fiddle. Only then does the guy finally leave with a sigh of relief. It's clear as day that Shawn's got some serious issues in the chit-chat department, and Shawn's always thinking about his brother. When they were kids, it was the same deal. Shawn would rather starve than tell a little white lie. You gotta be tough sometimes or you'll get bullied. Dr. Melendez is in the middle of operating on Fanny to cut out that pesky tumor. But they hit a snag during the operation. They have to wait for a test result. So Dr. Melendez sends Shawn to the lab to get it. But that lab is a madhouse, and they're just too busy to give Shawn the time of day. Shawn starts reminiscing about when he was a little tyke. His brother taught him that sometimes you gotta be brave. There was this one mean old guy with a gun who tried to scare them. What did his brother do? He threw a rock at the guy's window. With that memory in mind, Shawn decides to give it a shot. He comes out with the toughest words he's ever said in his life.
"If you don't do Dr. Melendez's test right now,
I'm gonna smash your windows with a rock." And bam. It works like magic. The result's out in 15 minutes. But then, when the result's in, everyone wants to give up the treatment. What in the world is going on? Fanny's got a real doozy of a terminal illness. She's knocking on death's door. Turns out the tumor in her belly is hiding behind her kidney. It's completely covered up and you can't see it at all. If they try to cut it out blind, it's too risky. But if they don't cut it out, the poor lady's got less than a month to live. Shawn starts racking his brain, analyzing the human body structure like a mad scientist. Finally, he comes up with a wild and crazy idea. Chop off one kidney to expose the tumor, and then cut the tumor out. The downside? Fanny loses a kidney, but hey, she gets to live. And guess what? Dr. Kalu and the team steals this brilliant plan. When Dr. Melendez hears it, he's like, well, it's worth a shot. So they start the operation. This whole idea of sacrificing a healthy organ to get rid of a tumor, it's as rare as a unicorn in the medical world. One word for it, genius. The operation's a roller coaster ride, but they pull it off. However, all the glory goes to Dr. Kalu alone. This really ticks off Dr. Claire. She's fuming mad at him. This is about the most responsible doctor in the world. After the 10-year-old girl gets discharged from the hospital, Shawn still can't stop worrying about her. So he takes those leftover samples and ran lactate and amylase tests on the girl. When the results comes out, the lab guy says it's all normal. But Shawn thinks that considering the girl's age, the lactate concentration and blood amylase levels are way too high. It seems that the little girl is in great danger. Shawn tracks down the girl's home address and rushes over there in a cab. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. He started banging on the door like a maniac. The girl's parents think Shawn has gone mad. It's just a stomachache, but he's making a big fuss, chasing them to their home and knocking on the door in the middle of the night. Their daughter is fine and snoozing away. The dad even calls Shawn a freak and threatened to file a complaint against him first thing in the morning. But Shawn isn't budging. He firmly states that if they wait until tomorrow, the girl might be dead. He won't leave until he sees the girl is okay with his own 2 eyes. The parents have no choice but to let him in to check on her. And holy cow, the girl has puked all over the bed and is out like a light. Never underestimate an autistic doctor. Shawn scoops up the little girl and hightails it to the hospital. On the way, the girl's heart is weakening and she's just about to check out. Shawn pulls out all the stops with a bunch of first aid moves. Finally, they make it to the hospital. Move it. Oxygen stet. Shoot her up with epinephrine. Saline solution now. We gotta operate like right now. The girl is wheeled into the operating room. Originally, this intestinal surgery is supposed to be Shawn's gig. But just now, Fanny's operation has wrapped up. Dr. Melendez shows up. He takes the wheel as the head surgeon, with Shawn as his trusty sidekick, and they get to work on the little girl. The little girl is successfully saved. Now Shawn is her knight in shining armor. The girl's parents do a 180. They apologize and are all thank you, a million times thank you. Over on the other side, Fanny wakes up after her operation. She'll be out of the hospital in no time and can even make it to her son's wedding. The hospital director gives Shawn a big thumbs up for his top-notch, responsible attitude towards patients. Shawn is finally off the hook for those lousy odd jobs. What a day. Shawn clutches the scalpel his brother gave him and drifts off to sleep. He's ready to wait for his next patient to come knocking. This is the second episode of the first season of The Good Doctor. This series keeps on trucking. If you're into it, stick around. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe. Catch you next time. Bye.